Hey, welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely critical in today's world. How in the world do we assess someone's skills fairly when we all come from such different cultural backgrounds? It's a huge question, and it really gets to the heart of how we spot talent. So, let's just ask the big question right up front. Is a skills test ever really objective? I mean, we like to think so, right? We see it as this neutral, pure measure of what someone can do. But what if that's just not true? What if the way we measure skills is actually loaded with our own cultural biases, creating these massive invisible blind spots? And this right here is where it gets really tricky. On one side of the coin, you've got what a person actually knows, their real expertise. But on the other side, you have how they show you what they know. And that part is shaped by everything from their communication style to cultural norms about modesty. If we only judge the delivery, we could miss the genius underneath entirely. All right, so let's dig into that gap, shall we? We're going to break down these invisible walls that so many candidates from diverse backgrounds run into, often without anyone even realizing it's happening. Okay, let's take a super common example, eye contact. In a lot of Western cultures, if you don't make direct eye contact, people think you're not confident, or maybe even that you're hiding something. But in many other cultures, avoiding eye contact is a sign of deep respect for authority. So an assessor who doesn't know this could mistake pure respect for a total lack of confidence. And just like that, a great candidate gets misjudged. So how do we stop making these kinds of mistakes? Well, we have to get to the why behind it all. It's about learning to decode the cultural software that people are running, which shapes how they act in these high-pressure situations. And to do that, we need to understand a few key cultural dimensions. This table really helps lay it all out. And you got to remember, it's not about which one is right or wrong. It's just different operating systems. So in a culture that values individualism, you're expected to talk about what I accomplished. But in a more collectivist culture, it's all about what we accomplished. Saying I too much might even seem arrogant. It has nothing to do with skill. It's just how you're programmed to talk about success. And this is so important. What one culture sees as a beautiful virtue, modesty, another might see as a lack of confidence or ambition. Think about that. If your entire assessment process is designed to reward the person who promotes themselves the loudest, you are systematically filtering out incredible talent from cultures that value humility. So, what do we do about this? I mean, we can't create a million different tests for every culture on Earth, right? The real answer isn't about making more tests. It's about a massive shift in how we think about assessment in the first place. We've got to move away from this old way of thinking, this cold, rigid, technical checklist. The new way is human-centered. It's about being adaptive, not rigid. It's about being empathetic, not judgmental. It's a huge shift from a system designed just to judge people to one that's designed to truly understand them. Okay, a human-centered approach sounds amazing in theory, but what does it actually look like in practice? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual tools we can use to start making our assessments way more fair and, honestly, way more accurate. But first, we have to talk about the main villain in this whole story, unconscious bias. You know, those automatic shortcuts our brains just love to take, the stereotypes that pop into our heads before we even have a chance to stop them. The goal here is to build a system with checks and balances that can override those automatic and often totally wrong assumptions. First up, we've got a really simple but powerful tool, an observer checklist. It's there to keep everyone honest. And the very first question is just basic. Did the evaluator use clear and simple language? This isn't just about being nice. It's about making sure the candidate actually understands what's being asked of them so they can give you their best stuff. Next, you got to look at the questions themselves. A question like, tell me about your experience working here in this country, is already loaded with the assumption that local experience is all that matters. A much better, more neutral question is, tell me about your relevant experience in this field. See that? It's a small tweak that opens up a much bigger world of possibilities. And finally, what's the vibe in the room? Seriously, the atmosphere. When a candidate feels psychologically safe and respected, they're going to be able to show you what they can really do. Building that trust isn't some nice-to-have extra. It is absolutely essential for getting an accurate rate on someone. Now, this isn't just on the person doing the asking. We can actually give tools to the candidate, too, and one of the best is the STAR method. Remember how we talked about cultures that value modesty?
This gives those candidates a simple, clear structure to talk about what they've done. It guides them through the situation, task, action, and result, and it helps them explain their value in a really factual way without feeling like they have to brag. And this, my friends, is where it gets really exciting. Because when you start doing all this, it's not just about being fair or avoiding bias, it's about discovering this incredible treasure trove of hidden talent that your old methods were completely blind to. When you build a process that's truly inclusive, you start to see all these amazing skills that don't always show up on a resume. I mean, think about it. What kind of skills do you build when you have to navigate a whole new culture? You build insane resilience, adaptability, and next-level problem-solving skills. These are the superpowers that companies are desperate for, but they're often totally invisible to a standard interview. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. This is not about trying to fix a problem. It's about seizing a massive opportunity. Once you learn to look past your own cultural lens, you realize that diversity isn't a barrier you have to overcome. It's one of the most powerful resources you could ever have. So I'll leave you with this final thought. The talent, the skill, the potential, it is out there. That was never the question. The real question is, are our systems even built to see it? Thanks for watching.